That was a nice little touch at the end there, Gunnar. Guys, when you think of Bon Jovi, the first thing that comes to your mind, it might not be riffs. But let's back up for a second here. I want to challenge you on this because once you start playing some of Richie Sambora's riffs, there's going to be a little bit more or maybe a lot more to these riffs than what you might have thought. Now, if you're already a Richie Sambora fan, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. So guys, I've got 3 Bon Jovi riffs, and these are off the Slippery When Wet album that I want to share with you. More importantly though, guys, I'm going to show you how you can expand on each of these riffs to come up with your own creative ideas. Now, before we get started, my Patreon supporters, you guys have the tabs and both backing tracks to each of these riffs. You got a full mix. You also have one with just the bass and drums as well. Oh, and hang around for our guitar chat after the lesson. So this first song is actually track 2 off the Slippery When Wet album, which was released in 1986 by Bon Jovi. A great era for just pretty much every genre of music, but this is You Give Love a Bad Name. So I'm gonna play through this slowly and then we'll break the riff down. There's a very easy way to think about this and remember it. So let's play through this slow first. Pretty cool little riff there, but what makes this simple and easy to remember is there are really only 4 notes that we're going to be playing around with here, and they're both on the E and the A string. I'm in standard tuning, by the way. I do not know if they down tune or whatever. I listen to stuff and then try to figure it out, and this is what we come up with here. Anyway, so we are on the 3rd fret of both of those strings, the E and A string. We're also going to be playing the 6th fret as well. So only 4 notes. I like to break things down like that because it just simplifies everything. It's like, okay, not as difficult. And the cool thing is we're going to go from 3 to 3. 3rd fret A string, roll that finger over to the 3rd fret E string. And that's part of what makes this a little difficult if you're not used to that style. Richie Sambora, he does quite a few things that are very interesting to me, and I'm not used to playing like that. So it kind of, kind of presents a little bit of a challenge until you get it down. It's like anything in life though, guys. Any guitar riff or lick, you can learn anything. I don't care how complicated it is if you practice it, repetition over time. So just remember that. So we're going to roll over from 3rd fret to 3rd fret on those 2 strings. Then we're going to go to that 6th fret on the E string. Back to 3. So check this out. Now right there, you could take that riff, those 3 notes, and you could expand. Okay, I just made that up, and don't try to play that. I just kind of threw that out there. But I just want to show you along the way how you can take these riffs and greatly expand on them to make them your own. So from there, and I didn't mean to interrupt the pattern here, from there, so we kind of walk it up, then walk it right back down, but we don't quite finish, if that makes sense. So we're on 3-3 on the A and E string, then 6 and back to the 3rd fret on the A string. Now 6th fret on the A string twice. Then we're going to go back the way we came. If you remember that part of the riff, the rest of it is very simple, okay? Because we're actually going to repeat that again after we play kind of like that same riff. Listen real carefully. This is the first time around. second time. Okay, so we start, but we don't quite finish it, okay? Simple. Now we play that very first pattern once again, and we're gonna end on this pretty cool little piece to add to that riff there. All we are doing there is we're just playing two strings. I think it's two strings here that he's playing, but we're on the G and the B strings, okay? Frets, what is that, 3 and 4. And I don't know how many times he does the whammy thing there. I'm just guessing. And maybe you don't have a whammy bar, so you just kind of just let it ring out. That's good enough. Track number 3 off the Slippery When Wet album, and this might be the most epic of Bon Jovi songs and could be one of the most epic songs of that decade and maybe even going forward. It's just a cool song. When you hear it, you get pumped, and if you happen to be playing it, I play an acoustic version of this, or at least I attempt to when I play my acoustic solo gigs, the crowd is always pumped, and anytime this song is played. Anyway, enough of that. This is Living on a Prayer. So let me play this slower version of it, and then we'll break down the riff after that. This one was a challenge for me. Not a lot of notes, and this kind of like proves to you that sometimes just a few notes can be a little difficult to play if you're not used to playing that style. It all comes down to style. So this one I actually had trouble with. Now mind you, I can play, you know, okay, and I just threw that out there. Nothing overly complex, but you think if I can do that, if I can just come up with that on the fly, well, I shouldn't have trouble with. But I did. I had trouble learning this riff. I'm like, I was filming this earlier, and I just couldn't get it down. So I worked on this for about 30 minutes, and even filming this little segment here on camera, I had trouble. Actually, listen to this. Yeah, I was screwing it all up, and I put this out there on purpose, guys. I put this out there just to share this with you, that some riffs may not seem complicated, right, when you hear them, but then when you try to play them, it's kind of like, whoa. Again, it all comes down to style. I'm reminded of, you know, Slash's little lick that he plays in Sweet Child of Mine. The first time you try to learn that, you're like, huh? But as you practice it, right, as you get it down, it becomes easier. So it may take more practice for you, for some of you, than others. Just stick with it, okay? Because this is a really cool riff. We're not playing a lot of notes. Again, this is the beauty of this riff right here, and it just fits the song perfectly, all right? I know I'm elaborating on this a bit, but hang in here with me. So we're on the E and A string, okay? Again, we're not going off the beaten path too far here, and we're just hanging around, once again, 4 notes, well 5 including the open E string that we're going to be playing there, but the fretted notes that we're going to be playing are 5 and 7 on both of those strings. That's it. And then the open E string. So that's it. Done. That's simple enough. What the tricky part is just the pattern and the cadence and the way those notes are played. So we start out with a palm mute for that open E string and go right to that 7th fret of the A string. Now, Richie Sambora, again, he likes to go from 1 fret of one string to the same fret on another string. There's a couple other riffs where he does the same thing. Maybe I'll share those in a future video. So we go from A string 7th fret to E string 7th fret. One of the easiest things you can do to do that is just kind of already have your finger sort of prepared to roll over quickly to that. Okay. Little difficult, but you'll get it down. Just kind of practice that. Practice that first part and then go to that 5th fret of the A string. And I think he might be palm muting that 7th fret of the E string. Okay, now from there, we're going to go back to the open E string, palm mute that twice, then go 7 E string, 5 A string again, okay? And it just starts over after that. So if you need to back it up to where I'm playing the riff slow again, definitely do that and just kind of study that. Now, again, I don't want you just to stop there. I want you to expand on that. Get this riff down. I do challenge you, get this riff down. It is a little different just because of the cadence and just the way he's playing the notes there. It's just a really cool cadence, really cool pattern. But then, again, expand on it. Come up with something. Something like that. Again, I just made that up. We will not remember that, but just play around with that once you get it down. This is one of my top favorites from Bon Jovi here. It's called I Die For You, and it's track number 8 off the Slippery When Wet album. Very melodic in nature and really kind of a simple riff here. But what I love about it is that it's played during the chorus. You know, usually the chorus, the instrumentation is complementing and supporting those big vocals for the big powerful chorus. Well, in this case, we're playing a single note riff, just a very cool melodic riff, right? Almost like where rhythm meets lead. So let's go through this slow and then we'll break it down. Love that little ending piece there, similar to what we did in the first riff, You Give Love a Bad Name. That was a really cool end piece there. Just kind of throws you off because you're playing up here, then all of a sudden you're down here. So I wanted to point that out. Of course, we'll go through that. What's cool about this riff, though, again, it's very melodic in nature, very catchy as well. And you're just starting the riff on the first note of the chord and just following up those next two notes thereafter. That's it, those next two notes in that progression. So we're in the key of A minor, so that first power chord, that's an A. We're not playing the power chord, we're just playing that single note, the open A string, and then playing the next two notes that would be in that progression there, okay, which is 2 and 3, frets 2 and 3 of the A string. We do the same thing with the F, right? We play that first note, that single note, then the next two notes that would be in that progression, which we're playing frets 1 followed by 3 and 5 on the E string. Same thing with the G here, okay? We're going to play the G on the 3rd fret E string. Then we're going to play the 5th fret, and then the next note in that pattern would be, you can play it down here on the 7th fret of the E string, but I believe he might be playing that on A string 2nd fret. Then he goes to the open E string, followed by, it's a little bit different here, not quite following that same sequence of notes, but we're playing the E string, open E, followed by the 3rd fret, then we go over to the A string, 2nd fret. And all we do after that is go through the first 2 parts again, starting with the A, then the riff starting with the F, and then we play a G power chord, and then we do that little cool little thing down here, which I'll share with you. Okay, and all we're doing here, we're on the G and the B strings. We're on frets 12 and 13, and then we go 12 and 12. Throw a little vibrato in there if you want. Now, one thing I want to point out, when you're going from the G to that part, I don't know if he plays the G twice. Some of the other tabs out there shows doing just a rake across the strings, and all that is the transition between that power chord to those other notes that we're going to be playing. So if I went to power chord and tried to play these notes without that little in-between thing there, some other strings ring out. It gets a little messy. So instead, I'll either strike that power chord again real quick before going to that, or just rake like that, okay? Just rake some whatever. It doesn't really matter what you do. It's just something in between to transition to prevent the string noise. Now, take that riff and just run with it. Seriously, like, just take that pattern. Let's see what we can come up with here. I have no idea what this is going to be. Something like that. Again, just run with it. Take those single note patterns and throw some chords in there. Play some more notes, take away notes, whatever you want to do to it. Just run with it and make it your own. It's time for our guitar chat, guys, but real quick, if you do not have my Metal Riffs and Licks, my free metal guitar practice guide, grab a copy of that. If you already have that, your next natural step is to get into one of my guitar courses, my online guitar courses. I have links to all that good stuff in the description of this video. Now, I'm just going to admit, guys, I am a big Bon Jovi fan. I love Bon Jovi's music, especially his early stuff, even all the radio pop hits and all that good stuff. I just love it. There's something about his music that it really captivates me. And probably even more so, I really love Richie Sambora's style and his riffs and the things that he came up with for the music. When you listen to Bon Jovi, and this is the beauty I want to explain to you of writing riffs that fit the song, okay? When you're listening to Bon Jovi, you might not really hear the riffs kind of like come out and grab you, okay? Because it just fits the music. It's like, okay, this is what's supposed to happen for this song. But when you pull out your guitar and you start trying to play along, and you're like, okay, he's not just playing chords, he's not just playing a note or two here and there. This is actually some really well thought out stuff that Richie is playing here. I mean, the guitar is almost like another vocal line. It is just speaking out those notes. And I'm not going to say they're the most difficult riffs to play, but if you're not used to this style, it can be a challenge. Actually, when I was learning these riffs, and guys, I don't take the time to learn a lot of other people's riffs. I know some of you will ask me, well, post this riff, post that. I just don't have the time to sit down and learn everybody else's music because I'm too busy writing my own music, and a lot of the lesson videos I come up with is just stuff I come up with on the fly. And it's stuff that I think that you can learn a lot from because, again, more importantly, like I said in the beginning, I don't care so much that you learn the riff note for note, even the ones I'm sharing with you that I wrote, which is most of the riffs you see on my channel and hear on my channel. I care that you take that concept and you expand on it. And I want you to do the same thing with these Bon Jovi riffs that you just learned. Yeah, it's fun to play along with a song. You can do that now, but I challenge you, expand, okay? Start adding your own flavor to it. See what you can come up with this to me is how you become a better guitarist and better musician. But going back to Richie Sambora, and I'll probably be sharing some more stuff from him because I just love his style of playing. I think it's very well thought out, and again, it's almost like he's not playing to say, look what I can do. He's playing and writing these riffs to fit the song perfectly. I mean, you don't even think about it, at least I don't, until you really listen, like listen closely, like, oh, that's what the guitar is doing. Now, I'll say the same thing for the bass guitar in Bon Jovi's music. Man, that thing is just moving throughout the song. He's not just playing doom, 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 just notes, right? He's all over the place. So, I don't know, I'm just fascinated by these types of things when it comes to songwriting and when it comes to putting a really awesome song out there. You know, a lot of popular music is kind of simplified, and that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of people might say, well, Bon Jovi, that's simple music. But again, when you dig in deeper, you find, you know, it's not so simple. It might not be the most complex riffs and licks on the face of the earth. It doesn't really have to be, but again, it's intricate, it's really well thought out, and it really, everything just complements the song, and that's what makes a great song. Now, if you wonder how I got the tone that you heard throughout this video lesson here, well, I just made a video on that. I'll put a link to it up here. It's an amp sim that I'm playing from Bias FX from Positive Grid, so do check that out if you haven't seen that yet. And guys, if you have any questions at all, please drop those in the comments of this video. You guys know I love to answer your questions, and thank you so much for supporting my music, my YouTube channel, my guitar courses, all that good stuff. Again, check out the description of this video before you leave. Got a lot of good stuff in there for you. My free practice guide, links to my guitar courses. Right now I've got Metal Riff Master. I like to call that the ultimate metal rhythm course. It's going to make you better. It's going to take your skills to that next level. If you're just starting out, then check out Metal Guitar Apprentice. That shares the fundamentals, really teaches you the fundamentals of heavy metal guitar playing. Once again, guys, thank you so much. Please give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and all that good stuff. Guys, I'll see you on the next video. Until then, you know what to do. As always, keep it metal, and sometimes keep it hairband.